Chandu the Magician. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The makers of White King granulated soap present for your enjoyment Chandu the Magician. Before our play begins, we would like to take a moment, and I mean just a brief moment, to say something that will help those who have clothes to wash. Our suggestion is that you use White King granulated soap. Put White King in your washing machine. If your husband happens to do heavy, dirty work, if his overalls and jumpers and work shirts have made you work and washing trouble, you'll not only like what White King does, you'll say, I love that soap. And your hands, the hands you'd like to keep young and lovely, how kind White King will be to them. The only hands you'll ever have. And listen, save White King box tops. You're going to want them for something you're going to hear about on this program. Well, the moment is up. Now, on with Chandu the Magician. Frank Chandler, known in the East as Chandu the Magician, and the regents enter a small pyramid known to Chandler since a visit to Egypt years ago. They hope to meet Princess Naji there and learn whether Robert Regent, missing for 9 years and long believed to be dead, is in reality still living. As they walk through the echoing stone passageway leading from the entrance, Betty is stopped by Abdallah, the storyteller the regents had first seen in a Cairo bazaar. He whispers that he can give her news of her father. Frightened, yet fascinated by this stranger out of the desert who has told her he is a prince in disguise, Betty promises to meet him in the gardens of the Mena House, the hotel near the pyramids where they are now staying. Now, after dinner, Betty sits with her mother in the hotel lounge, awaiting Chandler's return. Chandu the Magician.
I love the music over here, don't you, Mother? It's so different from ours.
Maybe we can find some records to take home when we go.
Oh, I'd love that. Where did Bob go?
Upstairs to bed. He was so sleepy after being up all night last night. Aren't you?
Oh, I'm not sleepy at all. But why don't you go up if you want to? You don't have to sit here with me.
Oh, I want to wait for Uncle Frank.
Well, I'll tell him where you are.
No, dear. How could I sleep knowing he may bring back some word about your father?
I guess you think Bob and I are pretty hard-hearted about Daddy.
Oh, darling. I know you can hardly remember him.
We know how you feel, though. And so does Uncle Frank. So why would he send us back here without even seeing the princess?
Well, I don't know.
It would be pretty grim if Uncle Frank brought Daddy back here, and we didn't even know him.
Oh, don't say that. Don't you want to listen to this?
Yes. Look at that enormous Moroccan drummer, Mother. Isn't he terrific? Garden for a while, do you?
No, I suppose not. When I was your age, I'd have been fascinated by all this, too.
I won't be long. It's just...
I know. If anyone speaks to you or annoys you, there are servants within a few feet. Call one and come back inside.
All right, Mother.
Don't go outside the grounds, dear.
I won't.
Ah, you did come to meet me.
Abdallah! You always scare me to death popping out of nowhere. Where are you? I can't even see you.
Beside the pomegranate tree. Darkness is kind to Abdallah.
Oh, yes. I see you now.
It is best for you to seat yourself in the chair near this tree, Mimosa Blossom.
Oh,
If anyone from the hotel should see you, they would not think it strange.
all right, but I can't stay long. My mother will come out looking for me. Maybe I shouldn't have come anyway.
It is good that you have come, little white flower. I will tell you something.
It sounds very nice to be called such poetic names. But after all, I don't know you. Not really. My name, in case you don't know, is Regent.
I know it well. But how do they call you in your country?
Well, my friends call me Betty Lou. Or just Betty.
Betty Lou. Betty Lou. It has the sound of music. Perhaps the day will come when I, too, may be your friend and call you...
Look, tell me what you wanted to about my father. I know very well if my uncle knew I was out here with you, he'd... Well, I don't know what he'd do.
Ah, yes. So, first, I must tell you I only wish to help you find that which you seek in Egypt.
Besides, Daddy, how do you know what Uncle Frank's looking for?
Let us say that I do know, Miss Betty Lou, and talk not about the beginning of my knowledge.
Well, then... Oh, dear. I don't know whether I ought to talk to you about it at all. I don't even know what it is exactly.
I have heard that in your country it is not wrong for a maiden to speak with a man alone.
Oh, no, of course not. Anyway, I thought if you did tell me something about Daddy, Mother and Uncle Frank would understand why I did it.
Your father, you have not seen him for many years?
If you know so much, you must know we thought he was drowned 9 years ago. You had his ring, you know you did.
What I do know is the reason you now come to seek him in Egypt.
Well, we found out. I mean, something made my uncle think Daddy might be alive after all. So, of course, my mother decided to come over and see.
Can it be that the golden-haired lady is in truth your mother?
Yes, she certainly is. Everybody's always surprised.
She is lovely, Miss Betty Lou, and you are like her as a rosebud is like a rose.
Well, thank you. But I came out here to find out about my father.
But in truth, you cannot reproach a prince if, after months of wandering about the bazaars in the dress of a poor Arab, he beholds beauty and dares to admire it.
Are you really a prince? What are you the prince of? And why should you be wandering around in disguise?
I am indeed a prince. But we must speak of your father, not of me. Tell me how you thought he died.
Well, he was on the Athenia, and the Germans torpedoed it just after the war began. My father was drowned.
And who told you of it?
Why, he wasn't in any of the lifeboats. And then the steamship company wrote to Mother.
Ah, yes.
But what about that ring? Mother knows it was his because she had it made for him. Where did you get it?
How does the lady your mother believe
She thinks you stole it. I don't, because why should a prince do that? Where did you get it?
And what does the Effendi, your uncle, believe?
Why, how funny you sound. Do you know him? He didn't seem to recognize you last night by the river.
Miss Betty Lou.
Abdallah, did you have anything to do with the princess being so scared?
Naji? Why should I when I am only trying to help you?
You know her, too? Oh, I don't know what to think. It's too complicated for me. All I know is I wish I could do something to help find Daddy. Just think how wonderful it would be for my mother.
You are a most devoted daughter, Miss Betty Lou.
Oh, no, I'm not. Not especially. But she's different from most girls' mothers. You know, we were up all last night, and we went out to the pyramid the first thing this morning, and...
Yes, I know.
Oh, that's right. Well, she hasn't said a word about being tired. She's not cross or anything. And she'd start out right now, anywhere, if she thought she'd find my father.
To find herself once more a wife, not a widow.
Look, Abdallah, I have to go in. Tell me how you can help us.
In one moment. Has the Effendi, your uncle, come here only to seek your father? Or is there something more? I ask only that I may serve you, Mimosa Flower.
Why,
Trust me, Miss Betty Lou. Would a prince betray the secret of a friend?
Oh, no, I'm sure you wouldn't. Or why would you go to all this trouble? But you see...
Still, you do not believe. It is the sorrow of my life that I must walk where no one understands. Nowhere is one who believes in me. Alice, and that such loneliness may never be yours, little white rose.
Oh, Abdallah, it must be dreadful. But you know it wouldn't be right for me to tell you. Uncle Frank made us promise not to. I do believe in you. It's not that.
Then there is something more in the mind of Chandu than the finding of your father.
You said you already knew that.
It is the drawings and perhaps something more.
I can't tell you, Abdallah. Please don't think I don't appreciate your wanting to help us.
Bismillah, so be it.
Maybe when we've known you longer, Uncle Frank might tell you himself. Especially if we find my father. So tell me about him.
You would come with me?
What? Where?
Into the desert.
Is he alive? Really?
I do not know your honored father's face.
But you do think it's my father.
Why else would I have come to you?
You mean you want me to identify him? Because if that's it, you could take my uncle. He hasn't seen him for a long time, but he'd know him. I'm sure he would.
You have seen for yourself that your uncle will not trust me. I have nothing to make him know I speak the truth.
Yes, you have. That ring. Abdallah, if you expect me to trust you, why don't you trust me about that?
It is because of the ring I dare to ask you to go with me, Betty Lou. You alone, with a heart of innocence, have listened and believed.
But don't you see...
When you have brought your father to those who love him, your mother and Chandu will forgive this secrecy.
Oh, yes, I know they will. But you don't want to go tonight. I know I couldn't do that.
Tomorrow?
Well, yes, that's it. My uncle is sure to go out to the pyramid again.
You know this?
Well, not for sure. But there's something about that pyramid. Something secret, I mean. He's been there lots of times. Anyway, if he found the princess today... Oh, it'll be all right.
And you will go with me?
Yes, I will.
Then listen well, little white rose. You will pretend an illness and remain here at the hotel. I will come for you with warm clothing for the desert, and then...
Before our program started this evening, we told you how wonderfully easy White King made the washing of heavy clothes like overalls and work shirts in your washing machine. I wonder if that might have given you the idea White King was only for the heavy washing you have to do. Why, of course, that isn't so. Say, your finest tablecloths and napkins, your daintiest lingerie, the fragile and lovely things you have to wash, White King Granulated takes care of them safely, gently, and we think as no other soap has ever done. There are reasons, of course, but aren't you kind of tired of hearing reasons all day long? Millions and millions and millions of packages of White King are sold. Each means that some lady has found this soap the one that helps her most. Listen, we say you'll like it. No, we'll say more than that. You'll love White King. Until tomorrow night, when perhaps you have tried White King, good night. Chandu the Magician is presented for your enjoyment every weekday evening. Special musical effects are by Korla Pandit. Your announcer is Howard Culver. The makers of White King invite you to listen again tomorrow at this time when the story resumes. Chandu the Magician. This is the Mutual Don Lee Broadcasting System.